the 1-2 pitch from Pauly. Swing and a miss. Paints win for the second year in a row and the third time in 4 seasons. The Chillicothe Paints are the champions of the Prospect League.
Hi, I'm Quenton.
And I'm Michael.
And this is Season 3 of the Prospects for Success podcast, where we bring you our thoughts on Prospect League baseball and beyond.
Observations, interviews, and a few surprises.
Let's get started with Episode 1. Before the 2024 season gets started, we need to talk about the end of the 2023 season.
Yeah, we were there for the championship game again. We were fortunate enough that it happened in Chillicothe, so we were able to just take a short trip down the road to see that game. Now, usually the fireworks happen early on, the opening night or around July 4th, but we got some fireworks in that very last championship game this time.
Yeah, I mean, the fans were ecstatic. The players were just in the moment. It was late in the game, and it was awesome. It was an awesome experience. Yeah,
we saw a ton of runs scored in that final series. Of course, it's a long summer and it's a grind. So to find finding good pitching is always kind of a premium in this league anyway. But then when you get down to the end of the summer, even more so. The Paints scored, was it 12 runs in each of the 3 games?
Yeah.
And lost the first one, 16-12, right? They lost that first one, or 18-12. Lost that first one in Quincy, and you were kind of like, oh my gosh, what in the world is going to happen? But they came back to Chillicothe for the last 2, and things were a little different then.
Quincy really put the pressure on us in Game 1. I mean, they put the pressure on Chillicothe, and me personally, I didn't think that Quincy would, win, but they shocked me in Game 1, honestly. They had a lot of good players, guys like Lucas Luce. Their coaching staff was pretty good. Pitchers were on point.
Yeah, when they needed to be, they came up with big stuff. I mean, if I remember right, looking at the season ending stats, I mean, over the entire year, Chillicothe just had such a treacherous offensive lineup. They were killing. I think they were the only team in the league that finished the season with a team batting average over 300. They were just, I mean, you had guys like early in the season, you had guys like Arturo Diesla there. Over the entire season, you had guys like Tim Orr, Victor Figueroa, who, seemed like every time Victor Figueroa came to the plate, there were men on base, and he was bringing them in. Just insanely good for that team all season long. And so, a ton of runs scored, but then the end of that championship game came down to kind of what might be kind of for some people, kind of a bit of a controversial play. If I remember right, the 8th inning, Paints were up. They had already scored 12 runs, and Quincy's trying to come back. They get a man on. Chillicothe might have been a little thin on pitching, so they had a guy that plays some outfield and some pitcher, Tyler Mendez, was in pitching, and he was like in his 3rd inning of work in that game. So they were really trying to bridge the gap between the starter, I think Will Reddick started that game, and get to their closer, Cole Pauly. And so Mendez is pitching, and I think it was a single. Guy gets on, and then guy's on, he's on first base, and he gets ready to steal second on a 2-0 pitch. And what exactly was the call that happened on that one?
They called batter's interference on the hit on the batter that hit the ball.
Yeah, because he swung in. I think he swung and missed. Or took the pitch. I can't remember exactly which one it was now, but when the throw from the catcher went down to second base to try to catch the guy stealing, throw went into center field. The runner pops up and heads for third. The throw from throw from center field comes in, it was offline, and so the runner ends up at third base, but the umpires are kind of waving and screaming and yelling, "Wait, stop play," because they called batter interference, which meant the batter was automatically out. So we go from 1 out to 2 outs, and the runner had to go back to first base. And I mean, championship game and all, the coaching staff was not real pleased about that.
I mean, yeah. I mean, especially when tensions are high, it's the third game of the series. Going into an away game on a championship game and just getting that call, I can see where that is. I can see why people are like that, and the coaches and the players weren't really happy about it.
And so, yeah, the coach ends up getting, it's eighth inning. A coach ends up getting thrown out. The starting shortstop, starting center fielder, they end up getting thrown out of the game for arguing about the call that was made. And you don't know how much that really played into the if that really changed the outcome or not. But Quincy was clawing their way back into that game, and the championship game ended 12-8. Cole Pauly came in for the ninth for Chillicothe, and like he'd pretty much done all year, he kind of got him through that ninth inning for Chillicothe to win back-to-back championships. And so that whole season, we kind of said this earlier in season 2, but I know we haven't seen all of them all the time, but I have never seen in the Prospect League a more dangerous set of 3 batters in a lineup than when Chillicothe had Tim Orr, Arturo Diesla, and Victor Figueroa together. They were just, it was like playing Monopoly and somebody else has hotels on Park Place and Boardwalk. It's just like every time you come by there, you're going to get hurt. You just don't know how bad.
I mean, yeah, especially if you have, Victor Figueroa coming in as the 4th or 5th hitter. I mean, and some people, might argue back in the day that the minors had the best 3 of Nick Delgado, Dan Ward, and Austin Norman. 2 speedsters, good. A power hitter. Austin Norman played outfield. Dan Ward played outfield. Nick Delgado played outfield. And they were just good. But, yeah, especially with the Paints, bringing in some guys from the Dominican Republic, that's honestly pretty cool.
Okay, you've brought up something really interesting there that we've seen in this league. There's still a lot of local guys, local college guys who get into this league and play, and that was always pretty cool to be able to see a guy from a D3 school or a JUCO suddenly is in there pitching against a batter from a like a Big Ten or even an SEC school, and so you get some pretty cool matchups like that. But now I think with some of the improvements, some of the way that play has gotten better in the Prospect League, the way the league has expanded somewhat, and some of the people that they've got involved with the league now in ownership and coaching and where they have teams, the fact that they're able to bring in some more talent from different schools and then from different places too. Yeah. I mean, we're seeing guys from the Dominican Republic. We're seeing guys from other places more often now in this league who really kind of understand that, hey, you know what? If I go to the Prospect League, I have a legitimate chance of getting better at this game and getting myself seen, because for some of these guys, their ultimate goal really is to go on after college and play pro ball somewhere.
I mean, yeah, especially with guys that play in like the Prospect League, you don't really see a lot of Prospect League players actually going into the MLB. It's more the Cape Cod League or the Northern League.
Northwoods, yeah.
But it's interesting because there is a guy on the mock draft of the MLB. He played for Champion City. His name is J.J. Weatherholt. That dude, if he gets actually drafted, I think he's gonna be a pretty insane ball player.
We've seen a few guys come through the prospect league before that we always kind of wonder, it's like, man, why didn't this guy get to the next level? Did he just not get seen? Did something, we're seeing more and more people now who are that, and as much as I hated seeing him in that Champion City Kings uniform when they would come through town, I'm with you. I think JJ's got a shot of not just getting drafted, but actually, making some noise and making it to the show.
I mean, yeah, there's a lot of guys that, me personally, I thought was going, he's got it. He's going to go to the next level. And I looked on there, I'm like, what? How did he not get drafted? But there are a lot of guys going in college, playing the game that aren't looking to go to the next level, but pursue their career and other things, like whether it's like doctor stuff or anything like that, but they still are really good at it. They just don't want to pursue a career in the MLB.
Yeah, and for those guys, there's still so much that they enjoy about the game that makes them want to play it. And being able to get, last season when we talked to, or the season one when we talked to Jack Lang, that was one of the things he talked about, was beyond whether or not he kept going and played pro ball after his college days, was just the fact of being able to be at the ballpark and be with some of these guys who enjoyed the game and loved the game, being able to do what he loved. There was just something so special about it that it wasn't a do or die thing for I have to do this my whole life. It was a matter of kind of just do this thing that I love, and with around other people who love it too, and just the kind of power and the kind of memories that builds. So with that kind of dovetails really nicely into us talking about one of the things that's happened this off season, is that the Prospect League has kind of redone the idea of and relaunched and kind of made an inaugural class for a Prospect League Hall of Fame. And they've announced there's 6 inaugural inductees for the Prospect League Hall of Fame. And a couple of those names are ones that I remember being a little bit older, like the Mike Schmidts and the Kirby Pucketts, the Danny Goodwins of the world, who were more back in my day when I was growing up watching baseball. But then you've got one guy who's truly a Prospect League product in Sean Manaea, being inducted into the Prospect League. And then somehow they got these 2 guys that played for the Cubs. I don't quite get how somebody who plays for the Cubs can end up being in a Hall of Fame, but you've got Ben Zobrist and Brian Dorsett that have made this inaugural class of the Prospect League Hall of Fame. 5 of the guys coming from the Central Illinois League. Okay, I kind of get that. There's that league for a while was kind of a factory for where it was and the kind of players that it produced. Yep, did a great job of putting some of those guys out there. It was really smart of the league, I think, to include Sean Manaea in that, to give an actual Prospect League guy in that first. Not that he doesn't deserve the honor. He was actually very, very good, and it's kind of cool that he actually played for for Du Bois County, and they're coming back into the league this year. One of the changes we're seeing in the league. But I mean, who now, if you had to look around right now, because the Prospect League it's so tough, because you play in this league for a year, maybe 2, maybe 3 in some cases, where there's a guy who'll play for 3 years. You got to make a lot of impact really quick. Who are you, if you're looking around right now, who are you saying, okay, who might be out there that just finished playing or is playing right now who could be one of those Prospect League Hall of Fame guys?
Well, if we're talking just players and not coaches, then I would say one, Chad Roberts, played for Chillicothe. I liked the guy. For 2, I'd say Austin Norman.
Yeah.
A record-setting guy. For I mean, there's a lot. There's A lot of great pitchers in there, a lot of great catchers, you know. JJ, I know he just finished playing, but he's another guy in there.
Yeah, those are all solid choices. You know, a guy like a Victor Figueroa, who absolutely tore the league up, is one that kind of springs to mind. But then you think, okay, 1 year, is that enough? But I think for me, right now, the next guy that I would love to see get an honor like that was he won the Mike Schmidt Award for the league. Tim Orr. He was just one of those guys that did everything his team asked him to do, did everything his team needed him to do. I forget over his time with the Paints how many positions he actually played. I think he played just about every position on the team except pitcher at some point. But a guy like a Tim Orr, that's a guy that strikes me as, you know, he played for multiple years. He played at a really high level. Was one of the most important guys on his team each one of those years, and they won a couple of championships with him too. So that's the kind of guy that I'm looking at as being, you know, a real good candidate for a future of the Prospect League Hall of Fame.
Oh yeah, I mean, Tim Moore was a solid player, you know, transferred from Tiffin University to Kent State. But I'm looking at another guy from West Virginia. Pitcher. He was a closing pitcher, Calvin Coker. Good sidearm pitcher, had that nice sidearm. You know, he's been in the MLB for a while, but I'm pretty sure he plays for like the AA or AA now. And, you know, I see a guy like him, you know, I'm like, wow, you know, a sidearm thrower, closing pitcher. Went into the MLB for like a couple of seasons and still plays under an MLB organization even when he's older now, and I'm just like, wow, he was a very good role player for the minors, very good closer, did everything that he needed to do for the team.
It's a really good choice, because I think with something like this, with the Prospect League Hall of Fame, that's something that's pretty important, is to make sure that the guys who go in there, at least a fair number of them, are guys who made it to the top level of MLB, just because that gives more current college players the idea of, hey, if I go to this league, there's an avenue there for me to not just play pro ball, but to play pro ball at the highest level. And honestly, that's really the final intention of something like this, doing something like a Prospect League Hall of Fame, is you want to show off how good the product really is, and in doing so, attract more people to make the product even better.
Yeah, I mean, just the product of the Prospect League, like, even if you don't know what the Prospect League is, it's just like, you look at it and it's like, wow, this actually might be pretty entertaining. And it's not like you go in there, like, for me, it's not like when I first saw Prospect League, I'm like, oh, I'm probably not going to expect much from these teams. But with really when I fell in love with the Prospect League is something on, like, never forget. It was a moment that, you know, it was really special. When you really fall in love with a sport and love watching or playing, like, it's a special moment for everybody. It really is.
Yeah, and we're just as we record this, we're just a few days away from the 2024 Prospect League season starting. We will be back in episode 2 with some previews, what we think might happen this year, what we're looking forward to, some of the changes. We've got some more surprises in mind for later on this season on the podcast. We are looking forward to seeing you and hearing from you all season long. Don't forget to join us online, prospectsforsuccess.org. You can go there and catch us on all of our social media feeds, as well as email Quenton and me throughout the season. We will be back with you very soon with episode 2.
You at the ballpark, but what I want to know, who do you guys think should be in the Hall of Fame of the Prospect League? Whether it's a current player, past player, or coach. Anything you guys want, let us know.
We will see you again real soon for episode 2.